Good evening. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Wendell Board of Commissioners and welcome you all tonight. We have a real special meeting tonight. Several good things are happening. We have a special person tonight to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Davion Truesdale. And let me see. While he's walking up here, I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. Davion is a fourth grade student at Carver Elementary School here in Wendell. He's been working extremely hard advocating for himself and building confidence in all academic areas. As a result of his hard work, he has grown 4 reading levels in just the first half of the school year.
Really good.
And we anticipate he will have continued growth during the remainder of the school year. He's becoming an independent worker in math, grasping skills more quickly, and applying those skills to other academic areas. We are so proud of Davion's hard work and dedication to help prepare himself for a very bright future.
Yes.
We wanted to have you here tonight because we're so very proud of your hard work. And I'm so pleased to get to meet you tonight and have you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everyone will stand up.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I want to hear at the end of the school year how much more you've improved.
Well, I'm Davion's principal. I have known him since he was little, and he has done a wonderful job. So I'd like to give him one more round of applause.
Our invocation tonight is from Wendell First Baptist Church, Reverend James Lee. Thank you for being with us tonight, Reverend Lee.
Madam Mayor, commissioners, officers, and to all present tonight, I'm very pleased to be here, especially tonight. And I'd like to commend the young man, for his achievements. Keep the good work going. We bow our heads in prayer. Let me also say, I have 2 associates here tonight, and it's good that they are here because I might not be coming sometime, but you'll see them in my place, perhaps.
Great. Thank you very much for letting us know.
Our wise and merciful God, our Father, we thank you for this privilege and opportunity. We thank you for the knowledge of knowing that you are our God, and we pray that you will lead, guide, and direct us continuously as you have. Bless these, our servants who have taken out the time to look after the business of Wendell and the citizens. We pray, Father God, for their continued services and that we might continue to support them for what service they render. Know that we do love you and we praise you and we magnify your name. Go with us continuously, we pray. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you again. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
Madam Mayor, I'll make an adjustment. I'd like to add in closed session. In North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A6, just at the very end, please.
Number 12. So we're going to go in closed session at number 12. Okay?
And at that, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the agenda, including a closed session of number 12. All in favor?
Right.
All right. We have one person signed up for public comment tonight, Miss Maya Bryant. Miss Bryant is Miss Zebulon.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Like Mayor said, I am Maya Bryant, Miss Zebulon. In addition to being a representative of the Miss America organization as Miss Zebulon, I am also a lifelong advocate for the arts. I truly believe that with perseverance and hard work, we'll be able to create the important shift from the arts are nice to the arts are necessary. My platform, Arts at the Core, Arts Integration, strives for integrating arts in our schools and communities. I am where I am today because someone believed in me and helped me hone my creative skills. I would not be the woman I am today standing before you if it were not like teachers such as Tokay Allen, my elementary school chorus teacher, who taught me confidence is the key to success when she trusted me as the role of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in our honors chorus holiday performance. Or Amy Davis and Sean Greer, my high school chorus teachers, who taught me to always be prepared. Thanks to them, I'll never forget a pencil and a notepad to a meeting because I wasn't allowed to walk into a rehearsal without my pencil. Or Amy White, my college theater professor, who never let me walk into class or rehearsal without willing to give 110%. Thanks to her, I never wake up without willing to give that very same effort every day. No limitations can stop someone who understands the importance of arts in our lives. Because of my arts background and because my arts instructors gave me the tools for success, I am who I am today. Graduate of William Peace University, a graduate student at Liberty University, a full-time employee at one of the largest law firms in the country, and your Miss Zebulon 2018. Thank you. Can you imagine if every student in North Carolina and our nation had the same opportunity to fall in love with the arts as I did? Let's never give up on making that dream a reality. I'm a product of arts education in North Carolina. The arts are vital if we are to have a bright and creative future. Let's never forget that those involved in the arts can problem solve in new and creative ways, because in addition to knowing how to think outside the box, they understand the box itself. My goal as Miss Zebulon is to ensure that every child can be impacted by the arts in some way in our schools and communities. I need your help. I'm interested in speaking to schools, speaking to other city officials, and holding events in Wake County that involve participation in the arts. Please let me know if you can make that possible. Thank you for your time, and thank you in advance for your support in the arts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 4 is the recognition of Carver Elementary teacher Debbie Hartley. Ms. Hartley, if you'll come stand up here, I'll tell you a little bit about her. Ms. Hartley graduated from Zebulon High School and East Carolina University with a BS in Elementary Ed, K through 6, and Reading K through 12. After working at 2 other schools, she settled at Carver Elementary School and has been there teaching kindergarten and first grade for 18 years. In 2003, she was Carver's Teacher of the Year, so congratulations for that. In addition to teaching, Ms. Hartley is a mentor coordinator, a mentor, and serves as a member of the SIP team. She's also done numerous other things while she was there. And when not at school, Ms. Hartley is a wife, mother, and active member of her church. We just wanted to invite you here tonight to thank you for all the things that you do for our children here in Wendell. So thank you very much. And you have the floor if you want to say anything.
Well, I do have a plug.
Okay.
We are always looking for volunteers to help out at school.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, in the generation we have now, we have parents that are working, both parents. We have single families. And we need volunteers to work with children, to read with them, to work on sight words with them. You just have to come by the school and register on the computer and check in the office, and we can put you with different grade levels to do that and help students and help children. And we also have testing coming up in May.
End of grade test.
If you would like to come and proctor, we would love to have you.
Thank you. Item number 5 is the presentation of a proclamation celebrating the centennial of Wendell First Baptist Church. So, Reverend Lee, we have a proclamation that we would want to present to you. I'm going to read it first, and then I'll bring it around there to you. It's a proclamation celebrating the centennial of the Wendell First Baptist Church, and it reads, "Whereas from humble beginnings in the early 1900s, members seeking spiritual fulfillment and enlightenment met in a small house on the hill on Cemetery Street, today known as Industrial Drive. And whereas the church membership increased and the church school moved to a 2-story building known as the Lodge House, whereas the Lodge House meetings were held upstairs and the Sunday school and church services were held on the 1st floor. Whereas the brethren of the church purchased the property from C.J. Todd and Amanda Todd for $35, Whereas services were conducted in the Lodge House until a new edifice was constructed and included a cornerstone dated 1918 to serve the church membership. Whereas the Reverend R.W. Crockett led the congregants in their spiritual journey by serving as the first pastor from 1918 until 1933. Whereas since Reverend Crockett's service, Wendell First Baptist Church has had 10 reverends to heed the calling to spiritually lead Wendell First Baptist Church, with Reverend James E. Lee being its 10th and current pastor. Whereas the First Baptist Church has weathered the times and remained steadfast in its faith within the town of Wendell, that 2018 marks its centennial. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Virginia Gray, on behalf of the Wendell Town Board of Commissioners, do hereby congratulate the Wendell First Baptist Church for attaining its centennial. Furthermore, Wendell First Baptist Church is wished peace, hope, and continued spiritual growth in its next 100 years. Duly proclaimed the 26th day of February, 2018.
I think you have a couple other folks coming up.
Honorable Mayor and Commissioners, officers, I can't say enough how much appreciation we can share with you tonight about this, and we're looking forward to the next 100 years. I might not be in that part of it, but but we have.
Part of it.
We're prophesying we'll be somewhere in the neighborhood. We do have our banquet on the 17th, and that will be at Good Hope Baptist Church Annex. And by the way, I have some tickets for you.
Thank you.
And anyone else cares to have some, let me know. We'd be glad to have you. Again, thank you very much, and please excuse us. We got another meeting going on at church tonight,
That's quite all
and
right.
told them we would be going about 15 minutes. So we have some of our people here tonight with us. Again, I'll say with you, Reverend Trey, Dr. Trey, will you stand? Let them see you. And also Reverend Brown, Troy Brown. These are our associates, and I might not be coming sometime when I'm on docket, so if they come, you know who they're representing.
That's great.
Again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much. Item number 6 is a presentation by Wake County Animal Control, Dr. Jennifer Frederico and Karen Rogers. Oh, he forgot his thing. Thank you, David.
Okay, you can use this to progress if you want. Yeah, just right.
Thank you. Good evening, how is everybody?
Good.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting us to speak tonight on Wake County Animal Control and the services that we offer the town of Wendell along with the other municipalities that we serve. I'm Dr. Federico, I'm the Animal Services Director. And
Karen Rogers, I'm the Animal Control Manager. I actually manage the officers that we have covering Wake County.
So we're going to start with our mission statement. It is determined to make a difference for the animals and citizens of Wake County through education, adoption, enforcement, and community partnerships. So that is what drives everything we do, not only in animal control, but also at the animal center.
She wanted me to talk a little bit about our animal control team because luckily, lately, we have expanded our team. I've been here 5.5 years as the manager. We've had somewhere between 3 and 6 officers during that time. The county has generously given us 2 more officers this year, so fully staffed, I had 8 officers covering the county. That actually gives us enough to put one officer in each 4 zones that we have during the day shift, and expand some of the services we offer at night and weekends as well. So we're actually expanding some of the things we do and some of the hours with those 2 new officers that we just received.
And do you want to talk about the training you guys have to do what you guys do?
Wow.
I will say, even as a veterinarian, there is no way I could be an animal control officer for the skill sets that they have.
Basically, we put them through a 6-week training initially when they come on board with us. And that's basically to give them the tools they need to understand what specifically Wake County does and how we do that, what ordinances we follow, what state laws we follow, things like that. But then our officers do continuing education throughout their entire career through the National Animal Control Association. Some of them, such as myself, the University of Missouri Animal Control Investigation training as well. And we train them in any and every course we can possibly put them through so that they have the knowledge they need if those situations or those cases come up. Hoarding cases, cruelty cases, equine, so that they have a very broad range of knowledge and education when it's time to handle those cases.
So for the citizens, our officers enforce our Wake County Animal Control Ordinance. Some towns have their own additional ordinances under the town. They are not enforced by our ACOs. This is where anyone can find the Wake County Animal Control Ordinance. It's Chapter 91. That is what the officers are enforcing every day. And of course, the state statutes, if we are not addressing an issue and it is in state statute, we will look to that as well. And I'll just give kudos. All the photos, minus the last one, is from Shannon Johnstone. She does the Landfill Dog series, and these are all dogs from the Wake County Animal Center. The last dog was mine. And we're going to go over kind of the key parts, the ones we see all the time in the communities that that animal control is addressing. Adequate feed, water, and shelter. That's a big one, especially with the cold weather we had. We had a ton of calls for sheltering of the animals. Animals at large, dogs at large, cats at large, cows at large, any animal that should be contained. Rabies control, although it is under animal control, that is our major public health initiative, and it is extremely important in our communities. Wake County also has a community cat initiative that we'll go over. And the Dangerous Dog Ordinance was recently updated. It was approved by the Wake County Board of Commissioners in November, and it is up to date on that website.
She spoke about the situation we had during the winter. We also face this during the summertime as well. Adequate shelter. People do call in on a regular basis, concerned about the neighbor's dog or a dog that they've seen driving to work. A barrel is not adequate shelter. A travel case for an animal is not adequate shelter. So it's actually defined in our ordinance 91.06. It must have 3 sides, a roof, floor, proper ventilation, and sufficient room. And what it means by sufficient room, according to the size of the dog should be able to walk into the doghouse, turn around, and be able to come back out comfortably without struggling. So the house should fit the size of the dog. You don't want the Great Dane living in the same size house as you do the Chihuahua. But as long as they do have the 3 sides, roof, floor, proper ventilation, and sufficient room for that particular breed of dog, it is considered adequate shelter. Animals at large, I'm sure all of you have heard of or dealt with this issue. It's basically any animal, dog, cat, chicken, cow, horse, that has left its property and is unleashed, uncontrolled, uncontained by some manner. If your next door neighbor's chickens have left their yard and come into your yard, they are running at large. Same with dog, cat, anything else. With our cats, we'll go to the community cats initiative soon. It works a little different for the community cats. But any animal that has left its property or the owner's real property is considered to be at large.
rabies control. Every year, Wake County puts on rabies clinics throughout the county. We do spring and fall because it's too hot in the summer and too cold in the winter for people to be lining up. But we offer that. They are $5 for rabies, $10 for microchips. It is the easiest, least expensive way to protect your pet. By state statute, every cat, dog, and ferret must be kept up to date on rabies vaccinations by the age of 4 months. So by 4 months old, they have to be rabies vaccinated, and then typically it's a year later, and then a 3-year vaccine every 3 years after that. Super quick and easy. People think we do this because we really want to help the pets, and it's really not. Honestly, it's really not about our pets at all. It's to protect us and our community. It's for the humans. That is why we do these clinics. But also with the new laws, the rabies compendium came out in 2016, has been updated, so it's not 6 months or euthanasia if your pet's exposed and not up to date. There are other levels, but the best way to handle everything is to keep your pet up to date. We do have a lot of wildlife in Wake County, raccoons, foxes especially, that are rabid, dogs, cats come in contact with, so we really want people to be aware of these, and they're on our website under events. They'll be starting in March again.
What animals are required to have rabies vaccinations?
Dog, cat, ferret. Those are the only 3.
That's it?
That is it by law. Now, if your horse bites somebody, I have horses, they're not required to be rabies vaccinated, but there have been cases of rabies in horses, cows, other livestock. So it is a good prevention, and they will be quarantined as well for if they bite somebody. So, but by law, it's dog, cat, ferret. That's it. So.
Community Cat Initiative. For those of you who are not aware, we do have a community cat ordinance in Wake County. This means we do allow for feral cat colonies, or community cat colonies, we call that now. We do have regulations in that ordinance, the things that they do have to do. The cats do have to be vaccinated, ear-tipped, spayed, neutered, to control the population. We at the shelter have started this community cat initiative because we did see such a major issue out there. You know, we get a phone call, the next door neighbor has 20 cats that she feeds on a regular basis, and every year they multiply. The next year she's got 30, 40, 50 cats or more. So basically, when we run into a situation like that, our officers are actually educated and trained to let them know that if they would like to choose to continue to be the caregiver for these cats, that we're willing to assist with spay, neuter, and vaccinate, and allow them to continue to care for those animals as they normally would. If they're feeding them, they feed them. If they're not, and they're just allowing them to hunt as feral cats, they continue to do that as well. But the idea is to try and control the cat population. We're getting ready to go into what we call kitten season right now. Of course, it kind of started early. We've already got there. But it's time for kittens to be exploding all over the county, probably including Wendell. So if you do know people who are in that situation, or you come across someone who is complaining about a situation similar to that, give us a call, let us know. We'll go out, kind of check, see what the situation is, and see if we can assist.
And it's been shown over and over that even if you go in, the past has always been that you go and you remove these cats. Well, it's kind of like a hotel. If you remove those cats, other cats are going to move in because there is some sort of food source. So it is actually more ideal to return the cats spayed and neutered, and over time they'll naturally, by attrition, die off, but they're still protecting that space, so you're not just replicating cats all the time. And feral cats are a huge issue coming into the shelter, and this is one positive effect we can have on that population. And this is, so we kind of put our money where our mouth is, because we have our own population of community cats at the shelter. So you would think we have dogs, cats, people coming in all the time. This is Slinky. He's actually at our front door right now looking through our glass door. That's like where that picture was taken. He's one of, I think we have about 15 of them that live on our property. They don't want to touch anybody. They don't want to deal with anybody's pets that are coming in and out. You'll come up, you'll see his fat butt sleeping on the table. He's not getting up. If you approach him, he's leaving. They're not socialized cats. but they can live in harmony with the group, with people that are there, they like them, and they don't bother anybody. We had one that really thought she was an indoor cat, and after she kept breaking back into the building, we did relocate her to a farm. But otherwise, they are really, it's really nice, and they don't do anything negative around the facility or bother any of the visitors that we have.
It is a good rodent control.
Good rodent control, and that ear tip, so that you see how his ear is like completely cut. That's a sign, and we try to tell people to tell kids, if you see a cat with that ear tipped off, don't go and touch him. That's a wild cat. Leave that cat alone. It's a really good visual for them.
Is that ear tipped when they're spayed or neutered?
Mm-hmm. That says that he's neutered, yep, because you're not getting under him to look at his belly for a tattoo. So yes. So our dangerous dog, and we've added potentially dangerous dog ordinance, was updated in November 2017. As we've deemed dogs dangerous, we found a lot of loopholes thanks to the attorneys who defended the people with the dangerous dogs. And it wasn't really a benefit to the dogs, the owners, or the community. So we did have a subcommittee put together. We had a veterinarian from the vet school on our committee, Callie Gerber, who's a local animal law attorney, on our committee, as well as two individuals from our public health committee for the county. And we really dove into it and redid it so it's positive for the people and the pets. In some situations, you can have the designation removed if you do a lot of work, such as getting a canine good citizen. And there's other ways that you're not, but at least you can, if you have a dangerous dog, at the end of the day, if your dog has been deemed dangerous, you're going to have to have a muzzle on that dog anytime it's off your property and on a leash. So that's the key for that, but that's been updated.
How to contact us, it's fairly simple. The Wake County Sheriff's Office dispatches my officers. Phone number 919-856-6911, that is directly to the Sheriff's Office dispatchers. Any animal control call gets shifted from them out to us. So that's your quickest and easiest way to get in touch with us if you do need us.
That's it. Do you have any questions for us?
Mr. Peters.
Yeah, Mr. Peters.
Does anyone have any questions, ladies?
What services are provided after hours and weekends? You said you were hoping to be able to increase that.
After hours and weekends, we have what we call our emergency list that the dispatchers know that we respond to. The best way to take you through the list short is just about everything other than running at large or cat trap or dog trap request. Because the majority of them are rabies control related. Injured or sick animals, bats and residents, aggressive animals, law enforcement assist, and how come I can never remember the entire list? There's 6 to 7. We've added TWO to that list, which is a talk with officer. If a citizen calls in and they have a concern that would typically be a call that would be handled during regular business hours, the dispatcher will patch that through to the officer that is on call or that is on second shift duty, just to answer the questions and say, we've got your information and we'll respond to that tomorrow. So we have added that on.
Bites.
Yes, bites, cat bites, dog bites, or rabies exposure. If a fox has attacked your dog in the backyard and there's possible rabies exposure, we respond to that after hours and weekends as well. And the hope is, moving into the next 2 years, that we'll be able to provide full service for the majority of the hours. Hoping one day to get to 24 hours, but we're not quite there yet.
We have our second request so the last 2 officers we got last year as expansion requests. It was year 1 of a 3-year expansion. We're asking for 2 more this year and then 2 more next year. And the reason for the slow onboarding is we need to see how it impacts the rest of the shelter, how it impacts our vet team, the shelter intake, all of that as we add officers. So we're trying to do it slowly, make sure they're trained on board, and then increase the number of officers. Anything else?
Any other questions? Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Let us know if you have any questions.
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 7 is a request by Wendell Council of Churches for a waiver of community center rental fee. Mr. Pulaski.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. We have a submission from the Wendell Council of Churches to have the fee rental waived for the Wendell Community Center for their National Day of Prayer on May the 3rd, 2018. The request is set up for the event at 6:30 p.m. with the event beginning at 7:15 and concluding at 8:30. The Wendell Council of Churches anticipates 200 persons attending that event. The Wendell Parks and Recreation Commission received the request, and its February 5th meeting approved unanimously to accept that waiver. It would be a total cost of $255 waived. That would not include the staffing and cleanup fees, which cannot be waived. And Mr. Briggerman is here if anyone has any questions for him as well.
What time is that going to be again?
They've got the start time at 7:15, but their setup is at 6:30.
7:15.
Conclusion at 8:30.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Pulaski? Any comments?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the request by Wendell Council of Churches for a waiver of the community center rental fee.
All right. We have a motion to approve the waiver for the Wendell Council of Churches. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor? All right. Thank you very much. Item number 8 is a discussion of request for sidewalk fee in lieu of for Phase 3 of Old Wendell. Mr. Bergmark.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the board. As stated, this is a sidewalk fee in lieu request for Phase 3A of Old Wendell. And you're just being asked to consider this request and take action if you're prepared to do so. So in May of 2015, plans were approved for 10 single-family residential lots, 5 on either side of Garden Club Way, to be developed along the entrance of the Old Wendell subdivision, and this is what we know as Wendell Phase 3. Based upon the existing zoning designation, which is R4, sidewalk was required to be on both sides of the road. The approved preliminary plan and construction drawings reflected this. It is our policy typically to allow the sidewalk to be installed on a lot-by-lot basis so that as construction is going on, your equipment is not rolling over it to kind of limit any damage to it. And we just require that it be in place prior to a CO being issued for the home. In late January, we had the first home in this group was nearing completion. We had town staff reminding the builder that there was a sidewalk required to be installed. I don't believe the builder was aware of this, and he expressed some concern regarding the installation of this. So we went out to do a site visit, and based on our site visit, we found that installing it, as shown in the plan, would, in our opinion, be cost prohibitive as it stands now due to the grade at the site. This is a ditch section, there's not curb and gutter here, as well as some infrastructure conflicts such as electrical boxes. So you have some pictures included in your material that kind of show, if you kind of look all the way down the road, you can kind of see the sidewalk at the very end along Wendell Boulevard. There would be on the road side of the light poles, but you have to kind of squeeze it in between your light poles and the actual ditch, and you have some items in the way, not to mention the grade is not what you would want it to be for ADA purposes, and that's more clear in this shot. If you're going to have to put a sidewalk between that light pole and the ditch, that's just really not going to work as it is now. It wasn't really graded appropriately for that to happen. So on February 6th, staff met with the developer of Old Wendell, Phase 3, to address this. The developer asked staff to move forward with processing a sidewalk fee in lieu request for your consideration. The UDO does allow this, but it does require town board approval. I did want to mention that we did have a fee in lieu request that was approved for some sidewalk along Wendell Boulevard that was associated with this development back in March of 2015. The submitted request wouldn't change the fact that there would still be sidewalk required on the opposite side of the road. So originally it was showing on both sides. They're requesting to just to pay a fee in lieu for this north side. There would still be sidewalk on the opposite side of the road, and they'd make sure, and we'd make sure they make sure that the contractor accommodates that in terms of the grading, and they may be looking at pushing it a little bit further back from the ditch line to get away from those utility conflicts that could arise on the opposite side, and potentially doing that with a sidewalk easement just to pull it back just a little bit further. Based on our fee schedule, the fee in lieu request for sidewalks is $25 per linear foot. So with 514 feet, that would work out to just shy of $13,000 for this request. Based on the kind of site conditions as they stand now, and the amount of the 13,000, and the fact that there still would be sidewalk on the opposite side of the road, staff does recommend approval of this request. I'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
Is it too late to be sure there's gonna be, is it possible there's gonna be a complication across the road? I mean,
Well, what we do in this case is if they put it within an easement and they pull it further back, they could pull it behind those utility conflicts, because they're in the edge of the right of way, the utility conflicts, and there's not nearly as much on this opposite side, on the opposite side, but if they put it behind them and within an easement, then you should be free and clear of that. If they weren't going to do that, then we'd require them to put the entire sidewalk in up front, so that we don't have them building homes as we normally would allow someone to do, and then they realize, oh, they didn't grade any of this appropriately to be able to put it in. So I feel pretty confident that we can take measures to make sure the same thing does not happen on the opposite side.
that's what I'm asking.
And if it did, which it won't, but if it did, they'd still have to request it to you, and you could always say, no, you go in there and redo everything to make it happen. That would just be very expensive, and we feel like in this case, since we still have the opposite side that we can install the sidewalk on, I don't feel like it's as detrimental to consider this request.
Is there a section on this side, if this is granted, that's gonna just come up and just stop? Is there a little bit close to Wendell Boulevard, or am I thinking wrong?
It would connect to Wendell Boulevard. Either way, the connection to cross over Wendell Boulevard is on the opposite side, so they'd have to cross, Garden Club to then get to that section. So, in that way, I mean, we'll still make sure there's a crosswalk to do
I was
that.
gonna say, we're gonna have to put a crosswalk there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just don't want it to look funny, Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Bergmar?
This $12,000, is this for just those couple lots right there that you showed us in the pictures, or is this for the whole side of the street all the way up?
It's for the whole side, which would cover 5 lots. They're pretty wide lots, so it's a little over 500 feet.
And then this issue with the, that we're developing, or understanding now, is this an issue from poor planning on the developer or the village standpoint, or is this something that could have been?
So the construction drawings had what the grade should be. It also it recognized that there was a couple of light poles that were gonna need to be shifted a little bit. There was one drainage area that carries the water underneath the road to the opposite side that I don't know if they accommodated for that, but, so the engineer who put together the plans was aware of most of this. Some of this came about after the fact, and I think it was a case of you have an engineer puts together plans and a developer, and then you have the builder, and the builder in this case didn't really do all of his due diligence to know what he needed to do. But there were some existing constraints in place that would make it more difficult in this case.
Maybe a complication where this is kind of infill development, is that what you're saying?
Right, so I mean, you have, the drainage ways that, like I
Right.
said, where you got that drainage pan,
there.
that's already there.
Right.
Some of the poles were already there. Now, some of the electrical equipment has since been added, and that could have been done in a better way. But, so there was some existing constraints, but it could have been handled a little bit better. So they have the opportunity to handle it better on the opposite side of the road.
Anyone have any questions?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the sidewalk fee in lieu of request for the south side of Garden Club Way.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the sidewalk fee in lieu request. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
Item number 9 is an update on board committees by town board members. I think I might be the only one. Campo, last week, we held a public hearing on fiscal year 2019 Unified Planning Work Program, discussed the fiscal year 2018 to 2027 Transportation Improvement Amendment Number 2, and we discussed the fiscal year 2019 LAP Projects Program, and received the 2045 Metropolitan Planning Update, Safety Performance Measures and Targets. There was also a Wake Transit implementation update and a fiscal year 2018 Wake Transit Work Plan amendment. Campo's very tedious. Commissioners' reports, we'll start with Commissioner Carroll.
No comment.
Commissioner Lutz?
No, I just want to say I attended the Princesses in the Park on Saturday with my daughter, and it was a real good time. We had a lot of fun, and it was well done by the staff, and we couldn't stay for the movie afterward because we had to get to the Party with the Purpose by the Appearance Committee, which is also, I thought, was a fantastic job and well done and decorated and organized, and so two great events by some of our town boards and departments.
Thank you. Commissioner Myrick?
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Boyette?
I would only like to point out for the benefit of those watching on TV, that this shirt is not Carolina blue nor Duke blue. I was assured that it was neither, but I can't be sure how it would appear on television.
I'm glad you got that
I wanted to
cleared
make
up.
that clear. That's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Joyner?
Got nothing, Mayor.
Real briefly, I want to remind you that citizen board applications are being accepted starting tomorrow through April 3rd. Citizen boards planned and carried out the Party with a Purpose that Commissioner Lutz was talking about, and they do a lot of great things in the town, and I think that each one has really upped their game, and there's a lot of exciting things happening, and it's because of our citizen board. So if you're interested, I would urge you to consider applying. I believe you can do it online, or the form is at least online, and they have a lot of fun, so I'd encourage you to do that. Since we last met, we have had the Princess in the Park, Party with a Purpose, Fun with the Blue. There's a lot going on in Wendell and a lot more to come. It's getting to be that time of year, so keep an eye on social media and our websites and things, and Parks and Rec website. There's a lot of things happening. I'd hate for you to miss out on anything. I also want to thank the Wendell Rotary Club and Dr. Lutz for organizing. We had the State of the Town address last week. If you hadn't had a chance to watch it, I think it's going to be, I'm sure it'll wind up posted on the town website and Facebook and so forth. And Eastern Wake Television and the Wendell Country Club, we had a really good time. I worked really hard to make it not so long this year. There's so many great things happening, it's hard to cut it off. But I worked really hard to keep it concise, and it was a little bit shorter this year. So I urge you to look at it. I was really proud as I went back through and thought about all the things that we've done. We've had a great year last year. So I believe now, item number 12, we're going to go into closed session. And we don't need a motion, do we? Because we already had one approved agenda with it. Okay, so we need a motion to go into closed session.
Motion to go to closed session.
All right. All in favor? All right. Took care of that by doing it like that.
I guess everything said earlier was
Well, I thought we were being